crazy.
The crowd's going wild. Oh, who's that?
Welcome everyone to the brand new, never been done before, Zelda Dungeon show, Tears of the Kingdom.
Whoa.
And I know everyone's first thought is, but what about Totem Time? Don't you worry. Totem Time is not going away. Totem Time is here to stay.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, I almost forgot about Totem Time.
What even is that? Is that thing from that old show? I don't even
Yeah.
I don't know.
Let's explain what we're doing on the new show, because it's a little different than the old show. In the show, Tears of the Kingdom, we are ranking things on a tier list. Things from the Legend of Zelda series, typically.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
Completely different than our old series.
Totally new concept.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just like the Legend of Zelda, we're always, reinventing the formula.
Yes.
Trying to see what the next innovative step is. So
this is Zelda Dungeon's first open air tier ranking show.
let's just, why don't we just get into it? Today let's do it. Talking about, it's our first, I think, our first tier, because of course it's our show. We are ranking the Zonai devices from Tears of the Kingdom. So
Tears of the wait, that's the name of our show. Oh
no, we're gonna have an issue.
That's weird.
We might get a cease and desist.
I thought the game was called Tears of the Kingdom.
You see, it could mean tears because in the
tears
trailer,
and the multiverse.
Because like the land is tearing apart.
Oh yeah, the multiverse is torn apart. McKenna is in a tear video.
There you go.
All right. I don't think this needs much explanation. Why don't we? I guess it's gonna be Totem Time.
Oh, I'm always ready for Totem Time. So. McKenna's just got to hang out on the top. I believe in her.
Totem together, and then we can. Well, you know what we're doing? We're not making a totem. We're building some sort of like construct.
Oh,
yeah.
we're putting the pieces
construct
together.
Time.
Yeah.
We're not as catchy puzzles to hold up the sign.
Yeah. Yep.
We'll use our goddess goo to hold everything together.
Yeah.
All right.
Are we ready?
Goddess goo time.
Goddess goo. 1, 2, 3. Here we go. Whoa.
Goddess goo.
Okay.
Addison would be proud.
We'll workshop it.
Here's our tier. I think we know how tiers work.
Yeah.
The top is the best, the bottom is the worst. I can't see what are we working with here? Oh,
we got all sorts
Zonai
of fun
devices, folks.
Zonai devices.
I will say, on my perspective, I think everyone's kind of played this game different amount since completion. I haven't really touched the game too much since I finished, so my memory is a little bit not bad, but it's like some things will be a little bit off. Wow, I think some people have gone hard on it. So
for as much as I played the game, like there are so many of these that I feel like I have hardly used. Like I know I've definitely like at least thrown them around a couple times, but like actually use them to build stuff, not a few of them. No.
I think if I play it again, I there's more experimentation.
Yeah, that's I'm replaying it now, and I've only just started and gotten off the Sky Island, but I want to do some more.
Nice
experimentation.
As your first time on one of these, well, it's all of our first times on this new show, but McKenna, would you like to do the honors of picking the first thing being ranked?
Sure. Let's see. How about?
You can't see them all.
Oh, there's another column. Okay. The sled.
Starting with the sled. All right, this bad boy right here.
Starting pretty strong.
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts on the sled?
I'm a fan of the sled.
It's awesome.
I'm a pretty big fan of the sled.
I was already a big fan of shield surfing.
Oh, yeah.
Forms of transportation. and so this kind of just makes shield surfing even more fun. And it's good. It's honestly just good. Sometimes if you're like building something, sometimes it's a good like base just for like building random stuff.
I definitely used it more as a boat than anything else.
Yeah,
interesting.
I think I used it more as a base for a boat. Yeah. I don't know.
I more use it for like I used it definitely a lot in like snowy areas and the desert because it's like you just
sand,
push.
Yeah,
you just put anything on the back to propel it forward, and like it just goes. Or what I like, kind of like what Goose said, like you can if you use it as a base or just any sort of like working platform. If you want to just like launch yourself up, it's just a nice thing to stand on, and then you can like attach a balloon to it, or you could attach like rockets and just like launch yourself.
Yeah,
it's just nice.
I used the cart for that a lot too, but the sled
cart is basically a sled with wheels.
Yeah, it's a land sled,
but you can put wheels on the sled, so I don't know who that reflects worse on.
I
don't think I did that.
This is an essential.
I did. I for sure did.
Yeah.
This is S.
Yeah, I think
it's just
S tier. Okay.
It's S.
I always had one on my shield.
It's just one I'm always happy to see. I always want it, you know.
I actually think I did use the cart more, but I'm okay with S for now.
I used the cart.
I think they're both S tier, to be honest.
Yeah.
I used the cart more, but I think mostly just because I kind of like I would like fly over using the sled. Like I would fly over the sand or fly over the water because I thought it was more fun, but that's just me.
I mean, after a certain amount of hours, I just hover biked everywhere, but
see, I didn't. I avoided the hover bike world.
I just once I made my first one, I was like, I can't go back. That's the only way I'm getting around.
Yeah,
I never made one correctly, so and I didn't want to figure it out. So
yeah.
I was very into the hot air balloon.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I guess we'll get to
whoa. Yeah. Hold on. Slow down.
Whoa.
McKenna, I don't know if you know how it works around these parts, but hey Goo, why don't you pick number 2?
Did we do the cart?
Why don't we just throw the cart up there too? Because like
you want to just do it? I mean, they're like the base of all good builds.
Yeah, now that I'm thinking about it, I think the cart is better than the sled. But if we're fighting sled S for sled, then the cart should be up there too.
S for sled and S for Sandy. Okay. Well, let's let you pick an actual one.
No Google.
Okay. How about the like battery things?
The batteries? Sure. We could do a little one and a big one.
The battery boys?
Those I think it's almost B for battery, I gotta say. I think they're cool, but they're not. They're because they go away. It's never something that I'm like. It just feels like it could be there, but it could not be there. Like it's good sometimes if I like really need that extra boost. It's really helpful, but it's not like when I was building, I would rarely think to use them unless I just had to find some like extra, throw them on there, you know.
Yeah, I think like there are other things that do the same function as these. Like you can refill your battery other ways. So I mean if that happens to be the thing that you have in your inventory, that's fine. But they're a little superfluous.
Yeah.
I actually think I might, judging on your pals' opinions, I think I might look at the batteries the most highly. I was a big fan of the batteries.
We got a batteries guy over here.
I always love the batteries.
I mean, look at the hat he's wearing.
I mean, the small batteries, yeah, the Boston batteries. The small batteries were something, but the big batteries, come on.
Okay.
Unlimited power.
Big batteries could be a tier above small.
I would say they deserve that, but also,
for me, it's like
I feel like, well, I'm okay putting them both in B.
I have two thoughts. I have two thoughts about batteries. Okay. Number one, they're an early game item. Late game, when you get a reward of a big battery, I don't care because I maxed out my batteries so fast because that's like what I was like really focused on getting done. And then I'd get like a big battery at the end of like one of the labyrinths or whatever and be like, this is BS. Like, I don't need this. This sucks. So it's really good early game. But then also I found myself hoarding them because I'm like, oh no, if I use it, it's gone forever and I have to make my builds good. And then at the end of the game, I had like 30 of each of them.
Classic RPG hoarding.
Terrible.
No, but it's funny that you bring that up because I think that the style of this game makes it so different because I was not like that. I don't know if you remember, but like it took me so long to even figure out how to upgrade my battery that for a long time, like what I prioritized was I loved the armor set that let you like use energy like less at a time. And I tried to upgrade that as quick as possible. And whenever I would build something, because I would always have batteries, and because I was worried about like running out of time, I was like, oh, let me just stick a bunch of batteries on there, and then I just have way more time like in the air or to test this out. And because of that, I think they were actually super useful early game. And it doesn't really bother me that they're not useful end game because like this is one of those games where you just get so overpowered by the end that like nothing is overly useful by the end. So, but I do think B is fine compared to some of the other ones.
Okay, that's fair. All right, Battery Boy, what do you think?
All right.
What do you want to pick?
He wishes he could pick batteries.
Yeah.
Can we do batteries again?
Is there a C battery? Like, let's do. I'll see if you know the difference, Nico. We'll do both the beam emitter and the lightning one.
Okay, beam emitter is the unicorn. I would know that, and then the shock emitter is the one that looks like Feyrush.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, let's do those together.
Thoughts? What are your thoughts on those emitters?
I think they're cool, and every time I use them, I was like, I wish that did more. So I never use them.
I think these two have a big difference between them, honestly. I think that the shock emitter is levels above the beam emitter. I think the beam emitter is silly and fun, but it's not practical or good.
Interesting.
I can hardly remember the difference.
I barely use these.
The beam emitter, it showed it in a lot of the like advertising where like you attach it to a wheel and it's like a spinning laser beam thing.
Yeah.
And it's like, whoa, that's so cool. And then in game you attach it to something and it's like, oh, it's just a little straight beam.
It doesn't do much.
And it doesn't do a lot of damage.
Do both of these make sound when you hit them against the stakes? Both of them, okay.
Oh, yes. The shock emitter I used a lot for fishing and for traps. But the laser I like used a couple times, or like if I had something to fuse, I'd be like, oh, sure, I'll do it with that. But like I never like went out of my way to use the beam emitter. But the shock emitter, you can add it to the front of a boat, and you just go floating around, and fish are just popping up in the water, and you just go pick them up. It's great.
I feel like I enjoyed using them when they were provided to me, like already built in.
Especially in like some of the shrines.
I didn't go out of my way to like create anything with them.
And anytime I ever attached them to one of my builds, I was always underwhelmed and like wouldn't save it.
Yeah. I would say beam emitter could go low. What would you say for beam emitter? We'll do that guy first.
I feel like it's fun at times when they introduce them. So I feel like it's not like totally bad, but
I think I would go C for both. That's what I would think. But both. Nico, you're saying that the shock emitter is much better in your eyes.
I think so. It's more practical. Granted, this is a unicorn, which is really cool.
That is nice.
So like that gives it some like
things are shaped like unicorns.
Yeah, we haven't had that in Zelda in a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or ever? Well, there been unicorn? Well,
yeah, there's a whole dungeon that looks like a unicorn.
There's
unicorn dungeon. Ever heard of it?
Okay, wait. Let's put this guy in C.
And there's the episode "Sing for the Unicorn," and there's the girl who has a unicorn. That's very important to the games, you know.
That is very important. I would fight to put shock emitter up in B. I think it's just better.
I
It's not as
I like it better than batteries.
Come on. Wow.
All right. Well, then should I put that there and put this down in D?
I'm outvoted then.
I'm okay. I'm okay with this.
I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that for now, at least.
We'll see. Yeah, we can see what else happens.
All right. Well, in that case, I'm gonna throw it over to my boy, my secret weapon, the Hoverstone. This thing is way overpowered, and I don't think people realize it. I think I got 80% of the Addison signs with a single Hoverstone.
Yeah. Really
if you just like,
that
you can
sense.
like prop it up underneath, activate it, and then talk to him. And then it works like 80% of the time. Sometimes you have to use 2 of them.
Sure.
But they're amazing for that. They're really good for using Ascend, because you can like kind of put them up really high and activate them, and then get like just get underneath and ascend up. Get a couple of them, and you're basically making like an ascend ladder, which is really cool. And
there was just good puzzles with them.
Yeah, they were a creative device.
There were some good puzzles with like the last ones we mentioned, but I feel like even more memorable ones with this one, especially like where you have to like hold something in place. And
I'm thinking like the lightning temple, right? Like there's the one thing you have to activate that's like really high up, and you have to get the light beam on it, and you have to like get the Hoverstone in like the right spot and like tilt it the right way. I thought that was like a great puzzle. I would personally put the Hoverstone in A tier. I think it's awesome. But what do y'all think?
Nothing less.
I would probably put it A tier is good. I feel like it's also essential, but like if it's one, well, honestly, it was kind of nice sometimes when I ran out, because I liked doing the Addison puzzles in the funky way. But if I have one of those, I'm just not going to.
Yeah.
Because I have no like restraint, you know. So I'd say A. A's good.
I had kind of like a little bit of a disconnect with these, actually. They never seemed to like, I could never get them to work the way that I wanted to. And I never used it. I didn't, for some reason, I didn't think to use them for the Addison signs, because I was always like, ooh, what do I have around me? Because I would always use whatever was there.
Sure.
Like do the puzzle that they were like, you know.
To be fair, I was doing the Addison signs after I beat the game to 100%, and I was like, I'm done with this game. I just want 100%. So I was just getting them done. I did like the Addison puzzles. They were fun.
They're definitely helpful, and I feel like they're most helpful on their own. Right, just using them by themselves. Did anyone make any cool builds with them or anything like that?
I didn't use them so much for builds, more for traversal and puzzles and stuff like that. Yeah. Which is fine. I think some are better than others, you know.
They were definitely helpful for traversing, at least until the end of the game, when you can do anything whenever.
Yeah.
But that's the case for a lot of these. So I think I like them more than either of the emitters. I don't like them as much as batteries, but what can you do?
Battery boy over here is dragging us down.
Hey, you dragged my batteries down to B, all right?
I did not propose that B. Somebody else did.
Well,
didn't you literally say B for batteries?
High for batteries.
That was gooey.
Oh.
I also think they're used a lot in the Zora section up in the sky.
Yes,
that's true. That I do really like them in the low gravity.
Oh yeah,
that's fair. How about we put them in A if we put the big battery up in A?
I think you're kind of just outvoted, but
all right, fine.
In the sake of actually, I don't need to know. No, we can do that if that's good.
You know what? We originally said that the 2 batteries should be on different levels because they're obviously very different. This is like 4 batteries, right? The big one.
A lot of batteries.
Right.
Yeah. All right.
So I think that's fair.
Looks good, and it looks like a P.
That power.
Yeah, we're building it. We're building our P-shaped tier.
A good P-shaped tier list.
Oh gosh. All right. That's our Hoverstone. Wow. We did 7 in the first round.
Yeah.
Back up good. To McKenna.
The cooking pot. Cooking pot?
I think it's called cooking pot. Maybe? I don't think it's just called pot.
Porta pot?
The porta pot? It's definitely not called the porta pot.
The porta potty?
What are your thoughts?
You know, my first instinct is kind of negative because of like the one-time use, but I also was like, you know, I use these a lot in an emergency, like. You know, I'm out of like sunny meals and I'm getting like all gloomed up and I'm like, all right, let's pull out the pot and throw some Sunderlands in there. And
yeah.
Mm-hmm. They're pretty redundant because you can cook like there are, I don't know, there's cooking pots all over the place, or you could just make a fire and just roast stuff.
There are no cooking pots in the depths.
Fire.
Is that true?
I think.
There are definitely. I definitely can recall times where it was my only option because I was stuck somewhere and it was like raining or there was, you know what I mean, and you can't.
It's helpful. Like
let me finish my point. There are a lot of pots, but it's helpful in a pinch.
All right, I think I agree with you then.
I think quite negatively of them, except for the moments that I really need them. I really just don't like the cooking pot. It kind of made me mad that it was one time.
Everyone hates the cooking pot till you need the cooking pot.
People use them in builds. Yeah, I can't think of one in particular, but I remember seeing people use them.
I've seen people use them to launch the bombs because they're like that, like they're like the good shape for the bomb to sit inside of.
That's cool, like a T.
Or upside down as feet for mechs. Like when people build big mechs and stuff, the cooking pots are often the feet. But I don't know. Like,
I'm sure there's someone out there who's like frothing at the mouth. They're like, "Why are you putting this in S?" It's like the greatest item, and they have like the perfect build. You know what I mean?
Anytime you get to any town that has a cooking pot, because there are cooking pots.
I just throw all my other pots away. I'm like, ugh.
Well, it's like if I'm at a town, I'm not like, let me cook one stew and then be on my way. Like, you cook a bunch of stuff in preparation. So most of the time you won't need that unless it is a circumstantial thing.
Well, that's kind of like the escape rope or something in Pokemon.
Yeah.
Most of the time it's useless because you're fine. You're walking around. There's Pokemon.
I feel like it's like I need this effect and I need it. I would like to have it right now. I don't want to warp out of this area.
It's the JG Wentworth of the Zonai devices.
I need food now.
Care to elaborate on that?
No. All right, where are we putting this thing?
I need food now.
I would suggest C. C for cooking.
That seems a little too low, actually.
I feel like I think B.
Right. B for booking.
B for booking.
Yeah.
Booking.com.
Cool. Sponsoring today's episode.
Yeah.
Use code Zelda Dungeon.
Cooking.yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Do we have anything that could be F tier?
Yes, there are plenty.
What is that thing in the top in the middle?
This thing?
Oh, the homing head thing?
The turret.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay. Yeah,
It's
see,
for advanced builders.
yeah, so that's
Yeah.
where I feel like we, or at least me, I saw those crazy cool like offensive type buildings that people would make using these things, and I just never like. I preferred to kind of just go like take on, like fight the guys and stuff like that. So I never really built a weaponized thing. So I don't have much experience. So I'm kind of with wherever you all want to put that.
So this one literally just like you put it down and it turns its head at enemies, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So you can put a weapon on top of it.
You put a weapon on it, and if it sees an enemy, it like does the thing.
Yeah.
So it's pretty similar to the homing, like the little homing carts too.
We could do both of those right now if you want.
Yeah, the homing cart and the.
I think of them pretty much the same. In that
they're similar.
Part I like a little better because it kind of chases them around.
Yeah,
I would
I'm
actually.
fond of it.
I think the most common way I used both of these items was together. I would put the turret on top of the homing device with like a cannon and a beam emitter or like flames or something, and it would just chase people down, just shooting at them. It was great.
I'm not gonna lie, I almost never used either of these. Like if I was gonna invade some sort of enemy camp, I don't want a little machine to do my dirty work. I'm gonna throw something in there myself.
They were a good distraction.
I did love using the moving one in the shrine where I guess it's introduced. Just like making it go and just standing back and watching it.
There's a couple of those where they like encourage it and you do it and it's fun, but it's never
puzzles where it's included for. I think that's the case with a lot of stuff in this, especially a lot of these devices, like puzzles where they're intended to be used like in a shrine or something. They're always done super creatively and it's always really fun. But I don't know.
I can't say me, most of these because I've witnessed amazing things constructed with them that have like, knocked my socks off. So
one of the funniest builds I've ever made was I did a wing with a turret and a cannon launcher to fight a Gleeok, but as I passed the Gleeok, the turret kept looking at it, so it kind of faced directly at me, and then it shot the cannon directly at Link, and I like died. He fell to the ground. It was embarrassing, but I mean, it always led to a lot of fun. I just wasn't good at using them.
I don't know. Wherever you all want to put them,
it's tough.
I'm looking really low for them. These are among the lowest for me.
How low can you go?
I would put the homing cart above the turret.
Yeah, personally, I would put homing cart in D, turret in F. But that's just based on how I feel about the other ones.
Like that?
I think
they're like pretty, like on their own.
Sure.
They're useless.
There are people pounding their tables right now, like in anger at this one.
Yeah, well, that is actually something that like kind of bothers me about some of these is like if you can't use them on their, disregard everything I've said about batteries. If you can't use them on their own, then I don't think they're a great device.
Well, I guess I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing because that's what this game is about, combining things.
That's true. That's true.
But it is nice to have something that has its own function.
Yeah.
Oh, big time.
I think maybe we can all agree these are too big brain for us, so us dum put on bottom of tier list.
I didn't know what to put on it, so it's bad.
What'd you put on it? I put on bananas that didn't do anything. Whose turn is it?
Like
Corey?
Korok on the honing cart.
That's terrible.
Get it to go to its buddy.
Let's do.
Also For the audience, yes, there's a second cooking pot on this list. We did not make this list, so thanks a lot, whoever made this.
Let's do the time bombs.
Okay, we're putting in an F.
I would say D.
Are you sure about that? I hate these
I don't
things.
think they're terrible.
Okay, tell me what you like about the time bomb.
I found them most useful in the depths because like there are so many ways for you to try and blow up all the like rubble and stuff. I ended up using a lot of my time bombs down there, just like either chucking them at it or attaching them to an arrow and just letting them, just waiting. Because like bomb flowers are a hot commodity. I could never have enough bomb flowers. But there were many times where I didn't have enough bomb flowers, and I was like, I don't want to waste all of them going through this dang tunnel in the depths. So I would use the time bombs.
I hate the time bombs.
I think if I had I could have probably used them, but I just didn't often.
Like almost never use them.
I wouldn't be offended if you all wanted to put them in F. I didn't use them for much else.
Yeah.
I prefer a regular old bomb, honestly. I know that they're like, bombs are like a hot commodity, like you said, but I just would farm them, and then it was fine. I don't know.
Breath of the Wild bombs are where it's at.
I agree.
Yeah.
Sheikah bombs are better than any of them. Bye.
Bye.
Okay. Let's do another one that I think I would also put fairly low, personally, is actually the spring. I was really excited when I first saw the spring, and I was like, ooh, this will be super fun, and like, you know, you can like bounce around and like put on your shield and do little fun jumps, and you can, but if you do like a shield jump, it goes away after one jump, which really sucks. But it does work well against like Bokos and stuff. Like it'll bounce them away, like the hammer did in Breath of the Wild, right? But then it doesn't disappear off of your shield immediately. I just hated that you would use one jump and it would just go away. And so I just like ended up having a bunch and never using them for much of anything. If I needed to get somewhere high up, I'd use a hover stone or a rocket or hot air balloon or something else.
You use a hover stone above a spring?
Oh yeah.
That doesn't make sense to me.
Get good.
That doesn't add up to me. It's so much easier to make a spring because you just take it out, put it down, jump on it, hit it.
Yeah, but then it would be gone immediately. The hover stone would just stay there.
Yeah, well, what are you going to keep the hover stone after you get higher than the hover stone? Then it's useless.
No, you would grab it, move it higher up above you, and use it again. You could like sandwich your way up with hoverstone.
Don't they have a limit for like where you can move them? Like, can't you not move them past a certain height?
You would do it with two,
depending on where you put them. Well, that's what I mean. That you're just pulling out another hoverstone.
But they were great. Springs you use once, you only get so high, and it was like, oh, whatever.
I kind of wonder if they maybe like tested it like not going away after one use, and it was like completely broken.
Yeah, probably.
I don't know. Big disagree there. I like springs a lot.
I mostly use them when I was fighting
I'm neutral.
Gleeoks and Flux constructs. I just pull them out and jump on them to get
just to get bullet time.
Yeah.
Oh, that makes sense.
Makes sense.
I will say one of the greatest constructions I ever have seen was made using those. Our friend Maddie used them to like create a vehicle, and the springs, they effectively acted as like shocks on a car.
Yeah,
I've seen those. Yeah, I've seen one of those.
So like whenever you'd start driving, it'd first go boing, and then you're like,
yeah, that's sick.
It's so cool.
That's so funny.
Shout out to that build. So, but I actually could see how they would be useful in the way Corey's saying. I'm similar to Nico in that I kind of had other things I went to.
I mean, rockets were my go-to.
That's not even the main thing. Yeah, that's not even the main thing. All of this is dependent on like what you actually have in your inventory, and I feel like these, like most things, are more useful if you have them in the beginning, and you are having trouble getting around. But more than anything, what I love to use these for is something that they like. I think they hint at you to do this probably in like one of the shrines that it's introduced to, but I loved attaching like any nearby plank of wood to it, putting it on an angle, putting a Korok on it, and just launching the thing like towards the direction of where its friend is, and then being like, "All right, I'll see you over there, buddy."
Oh my god,
that's really good.
It's amazing. Especially like
that. That's cool.
Especially if you have to get them. There are multiple where you have to get them over bodies of water or something, and instead of like wasting a glider and fans and doing the thing, which like gliders and fans everyone used eventually, but instead of wasting all that stuff, it's just like put them on one point, like set up the catapult and launch them across the river, and then I can swim across and be fine.
I don't know. I'd still use a rocket. It's like everything a spring can do, I would rather do with a rocket. I don't know.
That's fair.
I think it's pretty split, but I think we should put it in C.
C makes sense for me.
Feels like.
All right.
I can appreciate
C for spring.
Fine.
Yeah.
Spring.
Are you gonna try and say it's as good as batteries?
It's as good as the small battery, I would say.
All right. Well, buddy. Okay.
If we're keeping it, then that's fine.
Oh no. McKenna.
Cute.
Let's see. Let's do the hot air balloon.
Oh baby.
Oh.
Where are we putting this bad boy?
Oh,
okay. I think this is an S tier for me.
I would agree.
Like
man.
Useful for vertical traversal and for bringing things along. I loved putting a steering wheel on it, putting a fan on it, and just like going wherever in the air.
So I liked using hot air balloons a lot when you're in the sky and you're on those like blocks. You know those big platforms that like will move if you put stuff on them, and it's like you're controlling a big
the big Zonai box.
Yeah, I like using them a lot for that because it just gets you vertical height, and then when it stops, it's fine. But that's actually a big reason that I didn't like the hot air balloon is that they're very weight dependent. So depending on what you attach to them as the base, they either go super slow or don't go at all. And then if you don't get to the height that you want, they just fall to the ground after you run out of energy or whatever. And it's also another thing where you have to take it, put it on a thing. Yeah, you could do that.
I just use torches.
Well, see, I use the flame emitter. But either way, you got to find a thing to put in the thing. This is like a 3-part mechanism thing, and it's just like it's.
That's what I like about it.
There is something.
Like I gotta do a little work to get this thing going.
I mean, it makes sense, and I especially like it. This is another one where like we're kind of beating a dead horse, but it's like it's very useful in the early game, for me especially.
I used it a ton in the depths, like a lot.
I don't.
Yeah.
For what?
To get all the light routes.
Yeah, there were parts where I didn't do as many light routes, but I eventually was building different contraptions to just kind of fly past stuff. So like I would use it an okay amount. It wasn't my number one go-to, but I did like I would use it pretty much throughout the game to get around, especially because you don't have something like Rivali's Gale, like that you always have. So I usually.
This was a thing for me where it's like it basically gets you the same or similar use as a rocket or a spring, but it is also dependent on multiple other parts. And then it's another thing where it's like once you use it, it's not useful anymore.
I would say I do think the rocket is like would for me be a step above it, but I think the thing I like about it was I liked kind of constructing. Like I wouldn't go crazy on builds, but I did kind of like making little vehicles and stuff like that. So I always found it very very fun and like charming when I needed to get across something to like, oh, I'll build a little hot air balloon thing, and
I think
maybe try to
one of
tweak
the
the
most
design.
Used Zonai devices for me. I used it so often because it was nice to like be up high and I could like take my time to think about what I need to do while I'm up there because I'm just hovering. I'm just sitting there. It was great. I love that.
Like a little more story involved too, because there are a lot of characters that are just using their own like hot air balloons, and yeah, if it feels I don't know, more important, more I don't know what word I'm looking for. But yeah, just the way it's incorporated into Hyrule society as well. Yeah.
That's what I mean. It's like I like building kind of like vehicles, like it feeling like a tangible like object, not just like an ability, you know.
It's something that like a bunch of Hylians are already using.
Other flying stuff is really good if you're trying to cross like, that like long distances. But when I was like trying to go like straight up, it's all about going straight up.
That's definitely when I use it the most. If it was like I was trying to do something that's like right up, that I need to go straight up, and I did use it. Like I for sure used it, but I got to a certain point where after I reached that point, I almost never used it again, unless it was there and I like was very clearly meant to use it.
I think the main reason I used it a lot is because I made myself an auto build where it was attached to, I think, a cart, and it had a torch and a flame emitter. So I would activate it and it would go super high, and then the torch would still be lit, so it would hover in place after I ran out of battery. And then I could activate it again after I got all my battery back, and I'd go even higher. And so I would just like keep. That's how I got up to, I think, Hyrule Castle for the first time.
That's pretty smart.
But I don't know. I just used my auto build for it so often that I was actually like super dependent on the hot air balloon. So I don't know.
Well, I would put it in B, but you all are leaning higher, so.
I was gonna say A, just because when I do think of some of the other ones mentioned, like the rocket, that's like, oh baby,
yeah.
And this is like old reliable for me.
Old
like,
reliable.
Yeah,
it's.
I agree with that assessment.
It's near essential for me, but it's not my top tier, I guess.
Sure.
I like A.
I'll accept that.
We'll accept A. I'm gonna put it above Big Battery.
I mean, I had to suffer with this brain being in C here. People.
I believe the battery is in the same tier as
I put
the
it
hot air
above
balloon.
Big Battery's better than the hot air balloon. I'll say it.
No,
I disagree entirely. Listen, I grew up going to hot air balloon festivals. Hot air balloons are the best. They're also terrifying.
You know what's better than a platform with a hot air balloon? A platform with a hot air balloon and a battery and a flame emitter.
Okay.
It goes for even longer.
We're building a great device out of our faves.
Yeah. When we finish, we all have to create something out of the S tier.
Oh,
so far it's just gonna be a cart and a sled.
This is my cart sled.
This is my sled cart.
One side's a sled.
Who picked that?
Oh my gosh, that was McKenna.
Me. Okay.
Yeah.
What are the different? There's the flame emitter, and then what's that other thing by it?
That's the frost emitter right next to it.
Okay.
Frost emitter,
your element.
flame emitter.
Do we want to do those and maybe like the cannon? Like, I know they're all a little different, but
a little different. We can chat about them.
I feel somewhat similarly about them. The cannon, all of them from a combat perspective were fun, but like I said, I didn't build those types of things as much. But the cannon especially, I was like, into like experimenting with, and like obviously throwing it on the whatever you call it, the construct thing you get is cool.
Very cool.
And then the flame and the frost and the flame, especially for creating like those effects when you need them, are pretty cool.
I used the frost emitter for traversal across water quite a bit.
Oh yeah,
just make little frozen blocks to jump across. I use that a ton.
I could see that, yeah.
Yeah, I would any way I could get a frozen block started and then just fuse a frozen block to my sword.
Yeah. Which always looked so silly, but it worked.
So there's some good practical applications for these, but they're not my like most used. Where do you all stand?
These were among my most used, for sure. Not the frost emitter, actually. Even though I just didn't use it as much. It's not that I don't like it. I just like I didn't really use it for the water traversal. I could totally see that being a thing, but I found the fire to be more useful. But a lot of them I used either for combat or in world stuff specifically. Like I would always have, and most of the time I would fuse these with my shield because it's just so useful to be able to like have like a flamethrower shield equipped where if there's any ice you need to melt, just like pull it out and just melt it right in front of you. Or if there's any like brambles you need to burn down, anything like that, you need to start a fire, just like go like that really quick and then stop. The only thing with all of these is that like they go through the durability of your shield super quick, which is kind of a pain. So I ended up running through a lot of them, but I use them a ton. And especially the cannon. The cannon was probably my most used way of clearing out rubble and debris in the depths. I would either attach it to my shield and like it would inevitably break in like 5 blasts, or I would like take it out and activate it by itself and then scramble to pick it up with Ultra Hand super quick before it went off. And then if it works, you can just hold it in front of you and just blast cannon blasts to clear out tunnels in front of you for like forever. But if you don't pick it up in time, everything goes wrong.
It's terrible.
It's impossible to get it after that.
I would actually use the cannon most on my weapons. I would like pick a weapon that I didn't love but had good durability, or a Zonai weapon, because then that would increase the durability with a Zonai device like this. And then if you try and throw that weapon that has a cannon attached, it just shoots a cannonball instead of like actually throwing your weapon. And so I would do that to shoot the cannonballs.
That's sick. I should have done that. I never really attached it to my weapons.
I used that in combat. I used it to break rocks. I used it for everything. I love the cannon attached to weapons. Also, if you forget that the cannon is attached to a weapon and you use it and all of a sudden there's a big explosion in front of you, it's really fun. So I loved it for that.
Wasn't there the like fight to get into Death Mountain where you'd build a thing to fight the Volvagia whatever creature it's called? And
does that have cannons?
Is that cannons you shoot at?
No, you're using Yonobo for that.
Oh yeah.
I did use it sometimes on like a vehicle, but a lot of there were also a lot of times where I was worried about the explosion messing up my vehicle, so I would like just kind of avoid it, you know.
Oh yeah.
As far as like
that's another one too. If it's like you're going into an enemy camp or there's just a lot of enemies, it's fun to just like roll in and have a cannon up front. Just, like, they all go flying.
Yeah, out of all the like weaponized Zonai devices, it's my number one personally. Like I used the cannon a lot just because it was always like it wasn't always practical, but it was just like fun. Like super fun to use.
Yeah.
I
sorry.
I like never used the cannon except for with the, you know,
she's a pacifist, ladies and gentlemen.
Cannon haters over
the
here.
construct. I didn't use the frost emitter much either. I did do like the ice traversal, but I'd use the ice fruit for that mostly.
Ooh,
yeah.
I always had like a ton of fruit. I did like using the flame emitter on my shield though. I think that was like the main thing I did out of these 3. but you can make fireworks out of these. There are people who have like sent them up into the air and made like little fireworks explosions. So I think that's cool.
That's sick.
Where are we dropping?
I would, my personal would be, I would probably put Cannon and Flame in A and then Frost in B, but I could see sticking them all together in A. I'd be fine with that.
I would put Frost a tier below the other two personally as well.
Okay. I guess I can't argue.
What do you think?
Good.
Yeah, I don't
A
have
for these bad
strong
boys?
feelings about them.
I would maybe have gone B, C, but
B and C.
You're
all right. Well, let's move on.
Okay.
Hard to put things lower when you've got the battery so high.
It's hard to put things lower when we have this floating block up here.
So we have the big battery so high.
Yeah. Stop talking down on the big battery.
I love the big battery. You kidding me? He's thick. Corey, it's your turn.
All right. Let's do we want a good one or a bad one?
Bad.
All right. I don't like the mirror. I think it's almost useless.
I was so excited when I first saw it.
With the exception of like the few spots where there are specifically light puzzles and there are already like mirrors provided to you, they are almost useless. I feel like
those are so fun. I think they're like
fun.
Yeah, the light puzzles are excellent, but like
I think there's some of it's like the best light puzzles.
Oh, I would agree with that.
I think that's true too.
So powerful.
I think this is like a really fun way of including like items that people have been missing.
Yeah.
That's true.
It's similar to the mirror shield in the other games where it's like it's not like it's usually employed at the end anyway. It's not like a game spanning thing.
Anyone use these to like try and make fires? Can you do that?
I killed ants with it.
I don't know. Probably not.
I don't know. For me, those puzzles were just so fun. It's definitely different compared to the other ones because they had like it's more of like a traversal utility or something. But I don't know. There was even good out of dungeon puzzles like you would find using it. So
I agree. But like, I feel like we're talking about. I don't know. It just depends on what our individual criteria is. Because to me, that doesn't matter at all. Because I totally agree. Those puzzles are awesome, but that doesn't make that a good Zonai device for me. Like, it could have just been one of those, and in fact, like, it almost is, because anywhere there are puzzles like this, there are some sort of reflective...
They provide mirrors.
There usually are mirrors there that you can use for the puzzle, so it's like, why does this have to be a Zonai device? And when am I gonna like attach it to anything, you know?
I think the only reason they did it was because they wanted it for the shield. It's like the only reason they made it a Zonai device instead of like an in-world just like set mirror piece. Or like maybe putting it on stakes in the lightning temple and stuff like that. But like,
yeah, I
loved those puzzles a lot. I think they're very smart, but there is like zero use for the mirror outside of that.
It's also like I don't know if this is a good or a bad thing, but it's like it feels handy to have them if you are trying to solve one of those puzzles and you feel like you're at a dead end, but then you could just be like, well, I have like 5 other mirrors in my pocket, so let me just redirect the light even more just to do what I want to do, you know?
I don't know.
Yeah, I didn't often feel like they broke puzzles for me, though. Like I never really experienced that, so I don't know. Where do you want to put it, Corey?
I would put it in F
your
first.
way.
I think this, in my opinion, I think the mirror is the worst Zonai device. Not like has nothing to do with the puzzles, because the puzzles are awesome. I agree. But just as a Zonai device, I'm like, why is it even there?
Yeah, I kind of see what you're saying. You're never like, oh, I'm glad I have a mirror.
Yeah, if I'm going to build something like traversal, I'm not using it. attacking.
I'm not even gonna put a mirror on my car for fun.
Yeah, I can't think of any reason to actually use the mirror like outside of the mirror puzzles.
I have 360 camera control. I don't need a rear view mirror.
Well, okay, question though. Is there does it have any uses that I just don't know about? Like, do mirror shields do anything to style enemies or?
Oh yeah, I guess they can can you shine light in there?
I don't know.
But
can you shine light in their eyes and
but it doesn't produce. It doesn't produce light, right?
Can you show them their reflection and make them upset?
They're like, "Oh no, I'm dead.
I'm so ugly."
I don't know.
I'm really torn on what you're saying about it as a Zonai device, because when I think about it,
yeah. Well, that's I'm usually pretty strict about when we're ranking a thing. I think about it in that context, but that's just me. So, and this is our group tier list. So, if you disagree, then we should.
I kind of do, just because I think of the item in the game is a lot of fun.
It's used very well. It is used very well.
Yeah, I think I get that it's okay, it could have also not been a Zonai device, but I guess it's sort of a moot point because it was it would be there anyway. So I don't know.
This is the spinning top of Twilight Princess, but for Tears of the Kingdom. You love it, but it has no use.
I'd like to be not F. That's all I say. I feel like I understand.
McKenna, where would you personally rank it?
Probably D. Yeah.
Where would you put it personally? But no, where would you actually rank this yourself?
I from thinking about it. I was thinking about it earlier with I forgot which item, where it was some items are better as a puzzle thing and other ones are better as a traversal thing. Yeah, that's the best traversal one for sure. Way better than the battery. So I don't know. For me, it really excels just in its usage in the puzzles. Definitely not in anywhere else. So I probably have put it in C.
Okay, I probably would have put it. I was gonna put it in D. So we have a C, 2 Ds, and an F. So D.
D makes sense.
I think we can do
D for the best.
D for the best mirror we've ever had. That was the longest debate we've had for a single Zonai device, you guys.
For a mirror.
For the mirror.
I need to go lie down.
Okay, we're going to do one that people might disagree with. The freaking wheel that's not this wheel, but it's this wheel that moves automatically. I hate it. It scares me, and I do not have control over it.
Oh.
Here's my thought. Here's my thought. I used it a lot. And every time I would build something with it, I'd be like, this is too fast, or this scares me, or I'm bad at controlling this. I ended up just using the big wheels and other stuff to make me move instead, because it just made more sense. These wheels scare me. I think they're fun. I'd put them in B or C, but I was intimidated by them.
I don't think I used.
Sorry.
You go ahead.
I feel like I used these ones unless there was some funky terrain, and then I'd use the bigger wheels.
Okay.
I usually preferred the smaller wheels.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I'm just like the design.
I'm definitely a big wheel kind of guy, but I like these wheels.
I'd put them. You know what I'd do? I'd put them both right up in S tier.
I mean, to be fair, they're kind of essential items.
I love wheels.
And it's basically what McKenna said. There's some situations where I did want to go fast. I gotta go fast. And then there was a lot of other locations where it was like, yeah, I get up this hill or whatever. I'm going to use the big boys, and build a big vehicle.
I did have a moped that I would use. I did make a moped with this guy once that actually ended up being pretty darn useful, but that was like the only time I ever felt like I was like, yeah, this is the best. Every other time I'm scared. I have to use the big wheels for big tricycle.
A little tricycle.
They're so scary.
I love building the cars for like the races,
Yeah.
trying
I think I'm bad at video games.
I don't even know if I really registered that they like go by themselves, because anytime I got on a thing, because like most of the time if I put wheels on it, I would try to put a control stick on it, and like once I activated it, I'm trying to go forward anyways.
Sure.
So I think I was just like, they both go forward, and I was like, bigger means faster, so bigger must go faster.
No, these guys are considerably faster. But I think I would agree. I would put them both in S tier because they are literally essential to building 80% of the things I'm making.
I'm totally down with that.
Right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm just scared of the big, spooky, fast ones.
Putting wheels on anything is so
fun. I love fast vehicles in video games.
I'm bad at it. Don't give me F-Zero. Give me F.
Oh no, I can't play F
slow. F slow.
not that fast.
Mario Kart 50cc.
Need for Speed.
Yeah, these guys got S tier for speedy boys. So far, we can build a land vehicle with our S tier.
Yeah, those are the most fun ones.
A land vehicle that
there's some more.
All right, McKenna.
Well, should we be able to control things?
That might be a good idea.
This is too big.
Let's get the steering stick in here.
This is too big. This should have been the last one.
Oh no.
I think we all know where this bad boy is going.
This has to be this is like one of my most used, maybe my most
devices.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Sometimes the best feeling was when because it's always that moment where you built something and you slap. Sometimes you don't know how the control stick will make it work. Like if you got a weird amount of wheels or different fans or something, and there's always that moment where you first step into that control stick is like the key to it all. You putting it on there, that's what makes it a vehicle. It takes all of your hard work. It's beautiful. It's powerful. It's the greatest item in the game, I think.
I love this.
I can't tell you how many times. Like when I first got to the surface, one of the first things I did, like literally when I first got to the surface after doing the Great Sky Island, I went to one of those like restoration outposts that has all the materials and stuff, and I was like, ooh, let me build a vehicle. Let me build my own thing. Yep. So I used those wheels, and I used like the wood, and I was like, let me put a fan on the back, and then I'm gonna bop it, and it's gonna go. And it started going, and I was like, yeah, I'm going, Dad, I'm going. And then I'm like, no, it's only going straight. I can't control it. And then I had to bail, and I was like, oh, so that's what this game is gonna be like.
That is also a great experience too.
Control stick glues the whole thing together.
It does. It is the glue that binds the goddess goo. It's the most important item in the game. I agree.
It's like you have all this power, so you're like almost OP, except for you can't control any of it. So it's like everything that feels very clumsy. Yeah. And then you get the steering stick, and it all clicks into place.
It does. Like the first time using the wing up on the Great Sky Island, and you're like walking around on it to steer it. It's like, oh, what's going on? Oh no, oh no! And then everyone inevitably died for their first time falling off the wing. Like 80% of the people that I've seen play the game, that was their first death, falling off the wing. Oh man!
You know, like those those big sets that you build where it's like a bunch of pieces connected together that make like a big thing go, like something knocks something else over and then it goes.
Oh, like
Goldberg.
Rube Goldberg? Is that what it's called?
Yeah, one of those. It's like when you make a Zonai device without a stick, it's like one of those where you're like waiting for all the pieces to work in tandem the way that you think. And then when you put a control stick on it, it's like you're controlling all of them at once, so you don't even have to worry about it.
It's amazing. I love everything about the control stick. Steering stick. The stick.
Same thing. The stick.
Tried to make a pogo stick, but it didn't work with the spring.
That'd be fun.
That's a good idea.
It worked like once, and I was like, "Oh, okay, I can't keep going."
It's a good idea, though. I like it. All right, go.
Is there's just one light? One little light?
Little headlight?
One headlight. These were, I didn't use them. They're F. They're probably useful in the depths or whatever, but I just didn't do it.
I don't think I ever actually used them in the depths, even though they probably would have been useful.
I used them in the depths a little bit.
Throwing down those glow things.
They were on some of the Yiga vehicles down there.
Yeah.
Probably the way I used them the most.
I think when I first got
stealing the vehicle.
Yeah. When I first got them, I was like, oh, I can use them in the depths. And I put them on a vehicle. And then I was like, I have bright bloom seeds. I don't need these.
Yeah. I also think I kind of hate them because half the time I experienced them, I was being attacked by the Yiga and they would just blind me with them.
And that was kind of cool, actually.
I didn't like them.
The first time I saw them was like, whoa, what's going on? Like,
oh, yeah. I think that was such a wild, like, it just happened to drop in at that one particular spot and was like, oh,
that was
their
experience.
What are they doing here?
So weird. They're like a funny little idea. They're like, yeah, lights, but they're not going to be like a normal light. It's like a headlight, like specifically meant to be a headlight, which is really silly.
For your car.
I don't, I don't even use those in my actual car.
Do you think the lights are like powered by? I don't know. Like there's bright blooms like inside.
I mean, they kind of are. They're designed to sort of look like a bright bloom.
It's kind of wild. They were just like, oh, you know those things that light up? We should design all of our lighting to look like those.
That's what they did. All their torches, everything. But unfortunately, it's F. Oh, man. All right. Mr. Rich Mole.
Oh, let's do the, I don't even know what it's called. The one that stands upright.
Stabilizer.
Yeah.
The boing.
This actually was probably one of the least used, but I have seen a lot of very useful ways that it can be used. So it just made me feel dumb.
I love them in the shrine that they were in. I was like, oh, this is so cool.
Yeah, actually, I do. That is the one thing that I did like using them for is when it's like it's flat. Something is flat, and you have to like launch something.
Things, yeah. I wish I had used them more outside of that.
The only time I ever used them on my own is if I had a vehicle and I was going over rough terrain, and I knew that like I needed to stabilize my vehicle. I would just throw it on the back, and it would do better over rough terrain. That was it.
Did you like launch a wing with this?
Probably.
I always just use.
Would that go catastrophically wrong?
I would always just use like Ultra Hand.
Yeah.
Bring the wing down. Use recall. All that, But I'm sure it would work. I don't know.
I'm just imagining like flipping, rotating.
You launch and it just goes. Whoosh.
Yeah.
I think it's a really cool item. I wish I had used it more. But I'd probably put it in C.
Yeah. C for stable.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've probably even gone like B because there were times, but if no one else is about that,
well, what are your thoughts? I could be talked up to be easy.
I'm gonna play through this game again and use all these things and like watch this back and say, "Wow, was I wrong?"
I'm gonna put a turret on a stabilizer with a time bomb. It's gonna be the coolest thing, and there's gonna be a light on it.
I'm gonna put my stabilizer on a mirror on a homing cart and see what happens.
No, just sometimes when building something, I'd build like a machine, and I'm like, this thing is messed up. How do I?
Yeah.
What do I do? And then I throw a stabilizer on. I'm like, oh,
well,
it works.
Literally, it's the essential item for any like those really cool like mech builds that you see. It's the reason they work.
Yeah.
So
I see.
I would actually know. I kind of just talked myself up to B, honestly.
Or are you okay with that?
I still want C, but if I'm outvoted, then
do we got to flip a ketchup packet?
B or C?
McKenna, we can flip something.
Let's go B.
Take that, Corey.
Well,
stability.
The stability. That's D tier. That doesn't work. Babe,
cool.
Babelizer.
Was that Corey?
That was
that. It's my turn, right?
Stabilizer and B. Oh
man. Hydrant.
That's what I was gonna pick next.
I think the hydrant is super fun.
They're awesome.
It's such a ridiculous item. I think it's out of everything, it's the one that caught me off guard the most. Because I remember picking it up and I was just like, it's just endless water? Why does that not make sense to me? But then like the flame emitter and the frost emitter and the laser and like that all makes sense to me. Wait, and then I'm like,
how does it make?
It makes water?
It's because those are all like elements coming out of beasts' mouths, and this is just a fire hydrant.
It's literally a fire hydrant. No, I love the hydrant.
Even like smooth out too. It's like
yeah,
it's literally just like
sad stream.
It's really super useful for the Mukdorok fight and anything in lava. It's super awesome to just like always have one.
It ate up a lot of shield, but I was just attaching it to my shield and using that to like clean up.
It's super nice.
Stuff.
I was hoping that there would be like somewhere where you'd have to like fill up something with water and it would solve a puzzle. That I tried to like, there's like these like fountains that don't have any running water in them, and sometimes I went up to a fountain with the hydrant and tried to make it work. But I've mentioned this before, but you can use the hydrant to water crops, and NPCs will like thank you for watering the crops. It's really cute.
That is really cute. I like that a lot.
Yeah,
let's throw it in B.
B.
This is another thing where like
pretty good.
Once you get a bunch of splash fruits, like I just use the splash fruits over this, but like it's still fun to use.
I liked this because I could use it while I was in combat, which is why I really liked it for the Mukdorok fight. I attached it to like 3 separate shields, and so throughout the Mukdorok fight, I'm just like, I'm shielding and just getting rid of all the Super Mario goo, Mario Sunshine goo.
Yeah,
but I would put it in B. I think it's silly and fun.
I'm cool with B.
Pretty useful.
Yeah.
B for hydrant. All right, McKenna.
Ooh, we got some heavy hitters left.
He's not here.
Guy's not here.
Let's go with the steak.
The steak.
You can make music with it.
The musical. This is really cool. This is something I want to experiment.
I didn't do it, but that seems like a lot of work. But people did it, and
it's also just kind of wild to think that it was developed in a way that like it actually makes a different tone based on how long it is. Like the fact that was thought of is kind of wild. Yeah.
This one, maybe I feel like our list is too top heavy, but I feel like this is a really good one because like this was one that I often was like using because it's so useful for like you need to keep something in place somewhere, whether it's a mirror mirror or a flame emitter or something. You often would need to like use it to like hold things in place, or like in a build you could even use it. So for me, it's really
I use
good.
the stake a ton. I love it.
I didn't use it a lot outside. I always found myself like talking down on myself because I'm like, why are you using the stake more, doofus? Like, it's cool, just use it. But like, because they use it so well. This is one that I think, particularly in the shrines, there are really cool puzzles with it. And I'm like, oh, that's sick. And then I just don't think to do it in the overworld. But it is really helpful to just like stick in somewhere to put like a little platform or a level or help you build something or whatever.
Yeah.
I would find ways to use it with like Addison signs.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
also
You can. There's so many uses. I definitely used it a ton in almost every not shrine, temple, dungeon, I guess. Especially, I mean, it's kind of like meant to be used in the lightning temple, but you can the way you can like stop the giant moving stones by just putting a stake in the wall, I think is like, I don't know, I think it's really fun. There's just like some really creative usage of the stake for an item that's so simple, right? And I think that's what made it work so well. But yeah, I would put it in like A tier, probably.
A sounds good.
Yeah.
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 That's pretty high.
That's pretty high.
That's pretty high for me.
Maybe
We got a lot of stuff up there. There are so many things in A and B tier that would like pretty easily fit in C tier for me, but
what do you think?
I agree.
Like Zonai devices.
There's like two things that are in A and B tier that I think.
Right?
But like, why? Is the only reason you're putting them down to make it more evenly shaped?
Well, it feels like,
I think my mind just works that way.
Well, that's not right.
No. There are a few that are a tier or two too high for my personal list, but this is our joint list, so.
All right. I do kind of feel like it shouldn't be perfectly balanced, but you know what I mean? Like,
I feel like they're always going to be top heavy.
Yeah, that's possible.
I think almost all of our tiers are always top heavy.
We're fanboys. You get it, yeah.
That's fine with me.
What are we? Who are we on?
I think it's you.
I just went, yeah.
Oh boy. Well, let's do the fan, which is awesome.
I hate the fan.
All right, big fan of the fan here.
Big fan of the fan. Big fan.
Just another great item for making vehicles, and is essential. So many things I built. Like item. It was in almost everything I built.
Yeah.
That's like it's one of the first devices that you get to use, and then you never stop using it.
Yep.
Like it's always useful, and it's useful by itself. It interacts with a bunch of things in the world. There are so many, like, one of the first things that went into my head, like when trying to solve a puzzle, is like, all right, can I do this with a fan?
Sure. Yeah, I get that.
Most of the time, the answer is yeah, you can.
S tier.
Yeah, I mean that's an easy S tier for me.
Yeah, for sure.
Easy peasy.
Actually, this is looking right.
Okay, we got two more. We got the rocket and the wing, and an extra cooking pot.
I guess we'll go rocket, baby.
Rocket. All right. Big fan. What do you have to say about the rocket?
Put it right at the bottom, and then activate it, and it's gonna go all the way up to S tier.
I was like, yeah, I think this is kind of for how many times we've mentioned the rocket. It's needless to say, it's such a cool item. Like,
I would always use them all because it'd be like, all right, Rivali's Gale, it's time.
Exactly, it's the Rivali's Gale of this game.
It was also cool to attach to anything you build and just be like, even if it didn't work, it'd be like, what if the rockets like launched this first?
Yeah.
No, when I mentioned like launching a Korok with a spring, I did that for a while until I got a bunch of rockets. And then it was just like, all right, 2 rockets at an angle on a platform. See you later, buddy.
Do you know what I would do? So for me, the best way to get a Korok across like a big distance, I would attach it to the backpack, just 1 rocket, and I would ultra hand him up into the air and hold him in the right direction for like a few seconds, let him go, recall it, and then shoot an arrow at him while he's in the right thing, and the arrow would, and the rocket would activate and he'd shoot off.
Awesome.
I love the rocket so much, except for when it's being fired at me by those freaking Zonai constructs. That was those arrows are so fast and like you don't see them coming, and they just like whoosh, they're terrible.
That's another cool use for it too, like attaching them to an arrow. They're like very fun.
I did that, but that's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, it's a really nice way to ensure that your arrow will go perfectly straight. So if it's like kind of a long shot, if you attach an arrow to it, it's you're like you got that eagle vision, you know. It's pretty cool.
That's awesome. Well, cool.
It was also that moment in the trailer where we first saw the rocket. I remember just going, "Was that a rocket?"
Yeah. Unless you live out the dream of being Wile E. Coyote.
I
always think of blasting off one of those.
Yeah.
Oh, also attaching it to the mech. Mech. That was pretty sweet.
I love it. All right, we have one last item. The wing. I mean,
put that down in F tier.
Okay. And let it fly on up.
And then attach a few fans to it, and then
a steering stick
as far as you can, and then let it drop, and then use recall, and then get it going, and then fly it all the way up to S tier.
And then eventually it's up there in S tier. This is like the coolest item in the game for me. Like aside from like obviously steering stick, like for what it does, the wing lets you fly. And I will never forget that first moment on the Great Sky Island where I went off the rails on the wing and I was gliding and I was like, you can like straight up fly in this game. And it's like kind of magical. It's incredible. The physics behind this is ridiculous to me. Like it just makes sense. I love the wing more. It's like my number one used base for a build. I even like land vehicles I would make on a wing sometimes, and then if I'd go off a ledge I could just fly and then I could land and keep going. It was like I love these things. They're so much fun.
Versatile.
Then this you can attach to a shield to give you bullet time. Like you can like pull out the shield and like you have to time it right, but you can get it to do bullet time.
If it's like if you do a shield jump, right? Because it makes you shield jump higher. Which is such a weird little effect. But it works. It's cool.
That's pretty sick. I think I feel like what more can be said? And if we are taking the top and building a vehicle, obviously we've got everything we need basically. Maybe you might attach a battery to it.
No.
A big battery.
That's like, of course you got to put a battery on there. But it's like you take the cart or the sled, depending on which terrain you're on. You could do either. You could do both. And you put a wing on top. You put tires, wheels on the side, both, whichever size you prefer. Put rockets on the back. Put fans on the back. Put a control stick, and you're ready to go.
You're cooking.
Yeah. You're having a good time. Of course, that initial launch would be a little insane, but
that's what it's all about. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's like the there's that Goron minigame where the golfing used to be, where you have to get like as far as you can in the short amount of time, and that one, that build would be perfect for that. You'd get quite the launch.
Is everyone happy with this list? Our collective list?
I'm pretty happy. Screw you, Time Bomb.
Cool.
I feel like by the end, I'm looking at it, I'm like, it's a good balance, especially because like this is a fun, like one of the top aspects of the game. So like of course like this would be a little bit stronger than you like it would have more of a balance towards like they did a good job basically. Like,
they did an awesome job.
There's a couple of these, like we said, that kind of I think there's a factor of it too where like like we said, some people just certain items they did mess around with more and they had a lot of fun with them. So you might it's one where like someone could give me a completely different list and I could almost like see it and be like, yeah, that's fair.
Oh, totally.
Like especially if they built something really cool.
I can't be too mad at any of these because I think for the most part they're all like everyone's gonna have a different opinion depending on how they play the game because like you can do so many things and it depends on when you get the different devices and how you use them, how you think of using them in that moment, you know. But I think the ones that generally have less uses, I think, are all towards the bottom.
Yeah.
So I'm fine with this.
I was thinking about if we were making a device just out of each tier, the C tier device would be a little terrifying. Just a shock emitter on a spring. It's a little chaotic.
Oh, that hurts a little bit actually. The spring and C tier.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, but who decided?
The shock emitter would be all alone. That'd be so sad.
Yeah.
It needs a buddy.
Would be funny.
This make me want to go watch more Here's the Kingdom builds.
Yeah.
Well, I think pretty soon we're planning on getting some of our embarrassing builds up here on the YouTube channel. I don't know if that's going to be before or after this, but expect that because I'm excited to see some embarrassing builds from the ZD team.
Yeah. Well, cool. Nice job on this brand new series.
What a new concept.
New concept.
Never been done before.
Refreshing.
And just great job to Corey and Nico on the art and the music and everything.
Yeah.
Like it looks really good.
Corey,
I feel cool in this box and set to that music. Oh, that's awesome. So I guess leave a comment of other things you'd like to maybe see us do on a tier. We'll definitely have to do some more of those soon. Obviously, stay tuned on the channel for all kinds of stuff that we've got coming out. As you can see, there's been a lot of variety lately. So, oh yeah. Otherwise, thanks everybody for watching. We'll see you soon. Later.
Bye.